There are things happening in your life right now that you may not fully see yet. Not because you are blind to them, but because they are forming quietly, in the spaces between what you already know and what you are about to discover. If you were born under the sign of Aries, this message carries a particular weight for you today. Something is shifting, and the adjustments that matter most are the ones you almost never hear about. They do not announce themselves. They do not demand applause. They simply begin. And before you know it, everything around you starts to feel different. More grounded, more steady, more yours. So stay with me through this, because what we are about to walk through together could explain a great deal about where you are headed next, and why certain things have already started to change without your permission. Adjustment 1. The first silent adjustment that attracts more stability into your life is something you may have already started doing without realizing it. You have begun choosing your battles differently. There was a time, and you remember it well, when every conflict felt personal. Every disagreement felt like an invitation to prove yourself. But lately, something has changed. You have started letting certain things pass. Not because you are weak, not because you have lost your fire, but because you have finally understood that not everything deserves your energy. This shift, this quiet recalibration of where you place your attention, is one of the most powerful things an Aries can do. You see, your sign is built for action. You are wired to charge forward, to meet every challenge head-on. But stability does not come from fighting everything. It comes from knowing what is worth standing for and what is worth walking away from. And that distinction, that is wisdom. That is the kind of inner maturity that does not come from books or lectures. It comes from years of living, from scars that healed, from arguments that taught you more about yourself than about the other person. When you stop spending your energy on things that do not serve your peace, something remarkable happens. The energy you save starts building something inside you. A kind of quiet confidence that does not need to prove itself. A calm that others can feel when they are around you. People begin to treat you differently, not because you demanded it, but because your presence changed. That is the power of this first adjustment. It does not look like much from the outside, but from where you stand, it changes everything. You carry yourself differently. You sleep better. You wake up with more clarity. And the situations that used to drain you, they simply stop showing up with the same frequency. That is not a coincidence. That is the result of a decision you made, even if you made it without words. You chose peace. And peace, once chosen, has a way of rearranging everything around it. The people who belong in your life move closer. The ones who do not begin to fade. And you, for the first time in a long while, feel like you are standing on solid ground. Not because the world became easier, but because you became wiser about how you move through it. Adjustment 2. The second adjustment is one that many Aries resist for years before finally embracing it. You have started allowing yourself to rest without guilt. For most of your life, rest felt like failure. Sitting still felt like falling behind. You measured your worth by how much you could do, how fast you could move, how many things you could juggle at once. But that pace, it was never sustainable. And somewhere deep inside, you always knew that. You just were not ready to admit it. Now something has shifted. Maybe it was a health scare. Maybe it was exhaustion that no amount of sleep could fix. Maybe it was simply the quiet voice inside you that said, enough. Whatever it was, you have started giving yourself permission to slow down. And here is what nobody tells you about rest. It is not the opposite of progress. It is the foundation of it. When you allow your body and your mind to recover, you are not losing time. You are gaining strength. You are refilling the well that everything else draws from. Think about it this way. A fire that burns without pause eventually consumes itself. But a fire that is tended carefully, that is given space to breathe, that is fed at the right moments, that fire can last for years. That is what you are learning to do now. You are learning to tend your own flame instead of letting it rage uncontrolled. And the stability that comes from this is unlike anything you have experienced before. It is not the kind of stability that depends on external circumstances. It does not require everything to go your way. It comes from inside. It comes from knowing that you have enough, that you are enough, that the world will not fall apart if you take an afternoon to simply be. This adjustment changes the way you approach everything. Your relationships become calmer, because you are no longer running on empty when you show up for the people you love. Your decisions become clearer because you are thinking from a place of rest instead of reaction. and your health, both physical and emotional, begins to reflect the care you are finally giving yourself. This is not laziness. This is intelligence. This is an Aries who has learned that true strength includes the strength to pause. Adjustment 3. The third silent adjustment is about money, but not in the way you might expect. You have started changing your relationship with financial security, not by chasing more, but by appreciating what you already have. For a long time, you may have lived with a feeling of scarcity, a sense that there was never quite enough, that you needed to hustle harder, push further, do more just to keep your head above water. But recently, something inside you has begun to soften around this. You have started to notice what is already working: the roof over your head, the meals on your table, the small comforts that you once took for granted. This is not about settling or giving up your ambitions. This is about building your financial life on a foundation of gratitude instead of fear. When you operate from fear, every financial decision carries anxiety with it. You spend impulsively because you are afraid the money will disappear anyway. Or you hoard every penny because you are terrified of not having enough. Neither extreme brings peace. But when you begin from a place of genuine appreciation, something shifts in how opportunities come to you. You start making decisions from clarity instead of panic. You start seeing possibilities you were too stressed to notice before. You start attracting situations that match the calm, grounded energy you are putting out into the world. This does not mean money will fall from the sky. It means that your relationship with it becomes healthier, and healthier relationships always produce better outcomes over time. You begin to trust yourself more with financial decisions. You stop comparing your situation to others and start measuring your progress by your own standards. And slowly, steadily, the stability you have been looking for starts to appear, not as a sudden windfall, but as a quiet, consistent sense that you are going to be okay. Because you are. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Adjustment 4. The fourth adjustment happens in a place most people never think to look. Your daily routines. You have started building small rituals that anchor your day. Maybe it is a morning walk. Maybe it is a cup of tea at the same time every afternoon. Maybe it is a few minutes of silence before the world starts demanding your attention. These things seem insignificant on the surface. But for an Aries who naturally craves excitement and novelty, choosing to create consistent patterns is a profound act of self-discipline. And it is working. You may not have noticed it yet, but the days when you follow your routines feel different from the days when you do not. There is a steadiness to them, a rhythm that carries you forward even when your motivation dips. That is the hidden power of routine. It does not rely on how you feel. It creates a structure that holds you up regardless of your emotional state. And for someone who has spent most of their life riding the waves of passion and impulse, this is revolutionary. You are not becoming boring. You are becoming anchored. There is a difference. An anchor does not stop the ship from moving, stops it from drifting. And that is what your routines are doing for you right now. They are preventing you from drifting into old patterns, old habits, old ways of being that no longer serve who you are becoming. Every small ritual you repeat is a message to yourself that says, I am worth this care. I am worth this consistency. I am worth showing up for even on the days when no one else does. And that message, repeated day after day, builds something unshakable inside you. It builds the kind of stability that does not depend on circumstances. The kind that stays with you through storms and through sunshine alike. Keep going. Keep showing up for those small moments. They are building something larger than you can see right now. Adjustment 5. The fifth adjustment is perhaps the most tender one, and it has to do with the way you speak to yourself. You have started changing your inner voice. For years, maybe decades, there was a harsh critic living inside your mind. A voice that told you that you were not doing enough, not being enough, not achieving enough. That voice was loud and it was relentless. It pushed you forward, yes, but it also wounded you in ways that others could not see. Lately, though, you have started to talk to yourself differently. Not with false positivity. Not with empty affirmations that you do not believe. But with honesty that is wrapped in compassion. When you make a mistake now, instead of tearing yourself apart, you pause. You acknowledge what happened. And then you remind yourself that one error does not define a lifetime. This shift is enormous. It may seem small from the outside, but inside, it is changing the entire landscape of your emotional world. When your inner voice becomes kinder, everything else follows. Your stress levels drop because you are no longer constantly bracing for your own criticism. Your confidence grows because it is finally being built on acceptance instead of punishment. Your relationships improve because the kindness you show yourself naturally overflows onto the people around you. This is not weakness. This is the bravest thing an Aries can do. To look at yourself honestly and still choose compassion. That takes more courage than any external battle ever could. And the stability that grows from this place is deep. It is rooted. It does not shake when life gets hard because it was not built on the fragile ground of perfection. It was built on the solid foundation of self-acceptance. You are learning to be your own ally instead of your own adversary. And that single change is attracting a kind of peace into your life that you may not have thought was possible for someone like you. But it is. It always was. You just needed to give yourself permission to receive it. Adjustment 6. The sixth adjustment is about the people you allow into your closest circles. You have started being more intentional about your relationships. Not cutting people off harshly, not building walls, but quietly, gently choosing who gets access to the most vulnerable parts of your life. This is different from what you used to do. In the past, you may have let people in quickly because you valued loyalty and connection. You gave trust freely, and sometimes that trust was misplaced. You ended up carrying relationships that drained you, defending people who would not have done the same for you, and wondering why you always felt so tired. But now you are learning something that changes everything. You are learning that love and boundaries can exist in the same space. That saying no to someone does not mean you do not care about them. It means you care about yourself enough to protect your peace. This adjustment does not happen overnight. It is a gradual shift, a slow tightening of the circle until only the people who truly nourish your spirit remain close. And as that circle tightens, something beautiful happens. The relationships that stay become deeper. The conversations become more meaningful. The support becomes more genuine. You stop spreading yourself thin across dozens of surface-level connections and start investing deeply in the ones that matter. And those people, the ones who made it through your quiet selection process, they notice. They feel the difference. They respond to your intentionality with their own. And together, you create a network of support that is stronger than anything you have ever known. That is stability. Not the kind that comes from money or status, but the kind that comes from knowing, truly knowing, that the people around you are there because they choose to be. And you are there because you choose them too. Some people watch. Others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting. It's about moving. Adjustment 7. The seventh adjustment is one that touches the very core of who you are as an Aries. You have started redefining what success means to you. For most of your life, success was measured in achievements, in titles, in accomplishments, in the visible markers that the world uses to rank people against one another. You wanted to be first. You wanted to be the best. And there is nothing wrong with ambition. It is part of what makes you who you are. But somewhere along the way, you started to realize that the finish line kept moving. Every time you reached a goal, there was another one waiting. Every time you climbed a mountain, there was a taller one behind it. And the satisfaction you expected to feel at the top never lasted as long as you thought it would. So now, quietly and without fanfare, you are rewriting your definition of success. It is no longer just about what you achieve. It is about how you feel while you are living. It is about waking up in the morning with a sense of purpose that does not depend on anyone else's approval. It is about going to bed at night knowing that you were true to yourself even if nobody noticed. This new definition is not smaller than the old one. It is bigger, because it includes everything the old one had, plus something that was always missing: inner peace. You are no longer willing to sacrifice your well-being for a trophy. You are no longer willing to destroy your health for a deadline. You are no longer willing to trade your relationships for recognition. And this shift, this quiet revolution happening inside you, is attracting a kind of stability that achievements alone could never provide. Because when your sense of success is anchored in who you are rather than what you do, nothing external can take it away. You carry it with you everywhere. Through every season, through every challenge, through every unexpected turn. It becomes part of you. And from that place of inner security, ironically, you often end up achieving more than you ever did when achievement was all that mattered. Because you are no longer running from fear. You are moving towards something real. And that kind of movement, that is the kind that lasts. Adjustment 8. The eighth and final adjustment is the one that ties everything together. You have started trusting the timing of your life. This may be the hardest one for an Aries to accept. Your nature demands speed. You want things to happen now. You want answers immediately, results instantly, progress visibly. Waiting has never been your strength. But life has been teaching you, slowly and sometimes painfully, that not everything operates on your timeline. Some things need time to grow. Some answers need time to reveal themselves. Some blessings need time to arrive, because you are not yet ready to receive them in the form they are meant to take. And instead of fighting this truth, you are starting to lean into it. You are starting to understand that patience is not passivity. It is an active choice to trust that the seeds you have planted will grow in their own season. It is a conscious decision to stop pulling up roots just to see if something is happening underground. Think about everything you have been through. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every moment of doubt. If you could go back and see the full picture, you would realize that everything happened exactly when it needed to. The lessons you needed to learn arrived at the precise moment you were ready to learn them. The people who needed to leave did so at the exact time that made room for what came next. And the growth you experienced, it could not have been rushed. It needed every single day that it took. That is the truth you are now beginning to live by. And it is bringing you a peace that urgency never could. When you trust the timing of your life, you stop gripping so tightly to outcomes. You stop forcing situations that need space. You stop rushing relationships that need time. And in that release, you find something you have been searching for longer than you can remember. You find stability, not the kind built on control, but the kind built on faith. Faith in yourself. Faith in the journey. Faith that the same energy that brought you this far will continue to guide you forward. And it will. It always has. The only difference now is that you are finally still enough to feel it. Everything we have walked through today, every silent adjustment, every quiet shift, they are not separate events. They are threads in the same tapestry. And that tapestry is your life, being woven into something stronger, something more beautiful, something more stable than anything you could have imagined even a few years ago. You are not the same person you were at 20. You are not the same person you were at 40. And you are certainly not the same person you will be a year from now. But right here, right now, in this exact moment, you are exactly who you need to be. The adjustments you have made, the ones you did not even realize you were making, they have been preparing you for what comes next. And what comes next is good. Not because the universe owes you anything, but because you have done the inner work that most people are too afraid to do. You have faced yourself. You have changed yourself. And you have done it quietly, without asking for applause or recognition. That is the Aries way. Not loud for the sake of being loud, but powerful because the power is real. So as you move forward from this moment, carry this with you. You are more stable than you think. You are more prepared than you feel. And the life you are building, one silent adjustment at a time, is becoming exactly what it was always meant to be. Trust that. Trust yourself. And keep going. You have two options after this video. Close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.